Do you like comic books, video games, movies, and television? Are you way more interested in fictional superheroes than actual human beings or real life? Do you like listening to people discuss these topics for roughly an hour or two at a time?
Well, if you liked when this asshole did it alone, you're gonna love me.
This is the intro to our podcast, in it. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Bat in the Hat podcast, where we dive deep into all things nerd. My name is Andrea Beaumont, and with me, as always, is Matt. Just Matt. What's up, Matt?
Hello.
All right.
Can I do the opening one day? What
No.
is up, everybody?
No.
See, look how good that was. I think I nailed that one.
No.
Okay, fine. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's been a pretty good week. We have a lot of stuff to go over, and a lot of crazy stuff has happened, including this morning, which we'll get into in just a moment. With us today, we have a very special guest. He is the creator of Hybrids, the Sons of God, Luke Stone. Luke, what's up, my man?
Not much, man.
All right.
Couldn't ask for a better start.
So, Luke, actually, we kind of go back to days of old, working at Guitar Center all together, and we
Wait,
kind of.
hold on. Are you allowed to say Guitar Center? I mean, isn't that like trademark? Like, can't we? It's a major center for guitars.
Yes, there we worked at a establishment that was
Centered around
centered
the guitar
around musical instruments.
You are both super dumb. I just want to let you know.
Shut up.
I don't know if I can say that, but you're both not smart.
And you're not smart enough to
I'm
talk
just kidding.
at the
I like you both
microphone,
very
Matt.
much. I'm talking in the microphone. You told me to back up. How about now? How do I sound?
We linked up doing the con circuit because we've been working a lot of the smaller cons around Jacksonville, and Luke has been promoting his book. So I thought, Luke, if you wanted to come on, I'd love to help promote it, and here we are. And I gotta say, man, I absolutely loved the book. Really dug the art. Tell me a little bit about, real quick before we jump into news, tell me a little bit what your role in the book was.
Oh, I am the writer and the artist, and the letterer.
Oh, and the letterer too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I do all this stuff that I don't have to pay someone for. So
Right.
That's pretty good.
So now, when you say the artist, did you do pencils, inks, and color, or
I do pencils and inks. I hire a colorist to do the rest.
Okay.
I do hire a couple different layout artists to help me speed my process up a bit.
right?
But yeah, it's my pencils and my inks, and then
Yeah, guys,
Yeah.
and this is like full on too. We have the initial 3 issues sitting over here with us, and I mean the art is fantastic. I was impressed. I was very blown away. I'd known Luke prior as well, and I mean it's pretty cool. It's awesome.
It's kind of that thing that, we're all creatives. Me and Matt both are writers, and we both are creators and trying to do our own thing. So when we see somebody that we know who's doing it, who put it out, we have a book we're writing now that we want to put out, and just knowing that somebody we know has a fucking full on comic book.
I mean it's legit.
Yeah, it's
full
guys, I
on.
really appreciate that. I'll make sure to pay you after the podcast, that's for sure.
Well, just wait till we start talking about how bad it is. But you gotta
Wait till we get to the critique section.
There you go.
they look great. No, it is cool.
It really is an awesome book. It's one of those things where, you love to help support people that you care about and people that you know. We always have the debate about supporting your local comic book shop, and comic book shops in turn support local artists by hopefully carrying books in their stores and doing whatnot. So it really comes full circle. But before we get into the book itself and what it's about, I want to go over the news because we got quite a bit to go through today. And it's always fun to have a third voice here to kind of react to some of the stuff. So let's get started. Matt, you already know a bunch of this stuff. I don't know why you're looking at my sheet.
Well, we had stuff happen within the last hour and a half.
I was gonna say, let's start off with the big kahuna. Spider-Man is officially back in the MCU. Sony and Marvel made a deal that they're gonna produce another Spider. At least the next one is all we know of. That the next one will still be by Marvel and be part of continuity. I couldn't be more excited. I mean, I was pretty okay, to be honest, with Sony taking Spider-Man back. I think that there could have been upsides and downsides if Avi Arad was nowhere near that movie. But I love what Kevin Feige does for the MCU, and I'm very excited to know that Spider-Man's going to be coming back. Matt, how'd you feel?
That kind of really made me feel like this was the plan the whole time.
You think that they were like,
I agree.
yeah, like you think they were kind of holding out on us?
I feel like they were just working out the details, like the fine details, and
Yeah.
they're like, hey, you know, it'd be cool, like if we really freaked everybody out.
It's
It was
possible.
I think it was a publicity stunt to get people all worked up, find out how passionate the fans really were.
So, like I had told you before, to me, Spidey belongs with Venom and Carnage. So I wasn't
Right.
completely opposed to it. I was like, give me the Tom
Right.
Holland, Tom Hardy movie. I'm ready. But
too.
I'd be lying if I said I don't want to see how Spider-Man's arc continues in the MCU.
Yeah,
So,
no,
I'm happy about it.
And again, I think that there's always, in today's day and age of what we're able to do and knowing that there are companies willing to make these agreements, there's nothing saying we can't have both. There's nothing saying that we can't have Spider-Man in the MCU and then Sony being like, all right, this is making us so much money. Do you guys want a shot at Venom and Carnage? Do you want to bring them over and do something with them?
I think they should. I think because really who loses is the fans.
Of 100%.
Because these stories were written and these characters were written together.
Right.
You know, it all overlaps, and so we should.
Well,
we
not
should
only
do it.
that, but it's, and that's where it really you start to get that distaste for Hollywood. At least I do, is the fact that the fans lose out on a lot all the time, and we get shortchanged as people who have made these properties what they are enough so that they should make movies out of them. But the almighty dollar, or what they think will make them the almighty dollar, is what they is what they're targeting. So whether we want something or not is not necessarily the question. Dollars and cents is the question. And I just feel like that's where a lot of the negotiation stuff really came at the helm. I don't think it was a publicity stunt personally. I think that it was Sony being stubborn, Marvel being a little stubborn, and then maybe somebody going, "Oh shit, maybe this is a bad idea. Let's see if we can get Marvel to,
Well, to your point, though, because I agree, like it's at the end of the day, it's all about revenue.
Right.
And I'd say after 5 appearances in the MCU, what has Spider-Man helped contribute? Like $1 gajillion already? I mean,
Well,
he's had 2 solo films and like 3
and
appearances,
arguably, he's
so-
been like one of the biggest parts of the MCU
and
since
he's set
he was
up
brought
to,
on.
He's set up to essentially take it over.
Right,
So,
exactly.
I mean, it's only going to... Sony would be doing themselves a disservice because really they're just kind of sitting back and cashing in. So
Well, really, both studios they stand to make more money together than they do separately.
I absolutely agree.
So,
Oh yeah, I agree. And at least Marvel gets toy sales. Like that's a huge part of the market.
Oh, merchandising.
That's
the
gotta be
merchandising rights is
Way more
yeah.
than box office sales.
Yeah.
Merchandising stuff is huge. But again, I think that people at the top start getting a little. Well, we're only making this many billions of dollars. I want this many billions. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. But moving on, WB Montreal released the newest Arkham game kind of teaser on Batman Day. They had a photo of the Bat Signal being cast, which the Bat Signal on Batman Day last Saturday was all over the world, cast on like Big Ben in England and on like landmarks around the world. DC really did a good job at setting that up and making it happen. And they had one bat signal shine on the side of the building of WB Montreal, and then in the video clip, intermittently it would flash the Court of Owls symbol and the Demon Head symbol, and really get you excited because we knew for a long time that exactly it gives you like goosebumps. For a long time we knew that they were producing a Court of Owls prequel game to the Arkham series, so it's following Arkham Origins, but it's before the other Arkham games. We haven't seen a trailer yet. We thought that was going to happen at the PS4 event. What was that?
State of Play.
State of Play.
Well, we've
thank
been
you.
thinking it was going to happen since like E3, which was a few months
Yeah.
ago. I mean, I literally Google new Batman game every single day.
Yeah.
Like this
Just
was
to
the
see.
biggest news of my week. I'm just chomping at the bit. Arkham Origins was arguably my favorite game.
It was a brilliant game. I
and
don't know
this-
why
and-
it doesn't get the respect it deserves.
And this is the same developer. We've heard about the supposed leaks and the rumors, and
Yeah.
I can't wait.
It's been in development now for 5 years. I mean, this
They've
is
been
like
working on this since like Arkham Knight came out.
no, I know that's what
Or-
I'm saying.
yeah.
Like
When this
Arkham
game
Knight.
comes out, I'm taking vacation.
Yeah,
I
no,
did that for
100%.
Arkham
Stay home
Knight.
and play the game.
I'm gonna do the same thing, and I hate to say it, I'm gonna do the same thing with Spider-Man 2 when that comes
Yeah.
out for PS. Because when I finally got to play that game, I played it to 100% completion because it was so brilliant to me, and I cannot wait for the sequel of that. But the next Arkham game, and those are my undoubtedly favorite games.
I don't know if y'all are kidding or not, but I did that for Arkham Knight. Like, it came out Tuesday. You know, I got it Monday at midnight, and I didn't go back to work till like the following Monday.
Yeah,
And obviously, I beat it in like a day. So I was like, oh, now I just have a bunch of free time. So it
no,
was
I
pretty
didn't.
cool.
I savor those games.
I can't.
I've never been the type of person to plow through like those, like, you know, people beat them in so and so hours. When Arkham Knight, and I specifically remember when Arkham Knight, this is going to be one of the nerdiest things I've ever said on the show, but I become Batman. Like, in my head, I'm like, is this something Batman would do? And I do it. Like, I love those games so intensely, and I cannot wait to see what happens. Speaking of more Batman news, though, Jonah Hill, as we know, is in talks for a mystery role in the new Batman movie, Matt Reeves.
I wish I could audibly roll my eyes.
I don't know how I feel about it because, you know, we've seen Jonah Hill's serious acting chops, and I know he has them.
He's got him. He's good. He's a good actor.
The rumor is he's not going to be the Penguin like people thought.
Riddler.
And well, that's a possibility. The question is though, the reason nothing's been announced, he is holding out for more money, and because he has issues with how they want to portray the character. So he is saying, no, I think it should be this way. I can't speak to his like fandom. You know, I don't know if he's like Ben Affleck. We knew he was a comic nerd.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we knew he was a fan, and we knew he was going to do it justice. So when he said that he had problems with the script or how they wanted the character to be, I trusted Ben Affleck, and I still do to this day, and I'm still sad he's gone. But I can't speak to that for Jonah Hill. Hopefully that's the same situation, though. Hopefully he's just a fan of whatever character this is, and he's like, no, you guys, I think, like, you guys want this, but it's not accurate. It should be this. Who knows? But the more pay is what always bugs me, because it's like, all right, you get to be in a Batman movie. Like, first of all, like, the difference between this many million and this many million that you're going to get paid, because Jonah Hill's at that level now, I guess.
Yeah.
Come on, man. You're going to be in a Batman movie.
Well, I suppose if someone said that I could be in a Batman movie and they start talking money, I'd ask how much did I have to pay him?
Exactly. No, you're 100% right. Yeah. If somebody was like, Steve, man, we need you for a Batman movie now.
Who's Steve?
I don't know. I'm Andrea Beaumont. But
they're like,
Andrea.
If they were like, Andrea, we want you to play the Phantasm in the upcoming Batman movie, and I'd be like, of course, I'll take out a loan immediately to make this happen.
A couple points to that though. So I've heard speculation like there was actually a number behind it, and he said he wanted twice as much as Pattinson was getting.
Really?
Now listen, if you really think about it though,
which of course is all speculation.
Well,
but
again, yes, take that for exactly what it is.
Right.
Hot air coming out of my mouth. But if you think about it, is it really that absurd? Because he's been in way more bigger films.
Yes.
I don't know what Pattinson's getting paid, so maybe it's nothing too crazy.
I don't care about your star quality. If you're not the center star of the movie, like Pattinson's Batman, no, you shouldn't ask for twice what he's getting paid.
I agree with you. So then and there, I was kind of like, eh.
Jonah Hill also, by the way, has a reputation of being kind of a prick.
Well, he took like $50,000 to be in Wolf of Wall Street because he wanted to work with Martin Scorsese.
I did hear that.
So he's probably thinking I have debt since that movie.
But did he win the Oscar for that? I know he was nominated.
When DiCaprio did, and I was like, he'll never win one. And then of course he won it for The Revenant, and I thought The Bear should have won it instead of DiCaprio.
I will say that I'm afraid that this is going to be the worst cast Batman movie of all time.
You're very against Pattinson?
I don't think that he's Bruce Wayne.
Man,
I'm still not feeling it either.
I disagree. I'm so all in on Pattinson. I just watched a couple of his movies to get myself like familiar with his like projects, and I just watched Good Time. And man, the kid is a freaking actor.
Did you watch
He's an actor, but he's not Bruce Wayne.
Oof. Rebuttal?
No, I'm just curious as to, and honestly, just like as fans, like why? I mean, to me, he is a striking young Bruce Wayne. I mean, and the whole point that this is a very year one Batman, right? So it's the Long Halloween is the rumor of what it's going to be, and he is going to be a very year one-esque Batman. And to me, and especially in some of the like fan created photos, the kid looks like a young Bruce Wayne.
I just have such a hard time not seeing Edward
Cullen.
or that dude from Harry Potter.
Fair enough.
I keep, that
Cedric Diggory.
Cedric, yeah, there you go.
See, that's
I have a hard time with that. Now, I was all against Batfleck until I saw him in the suit.
Right.
And then I was like, old man Batman.
Yeah.
I love it. I was all about it.
Now, and see, and everybody knows this. I'm very easy to please. I am the optimist of like, when announcements like this come out, I'm immediately like, yeah, that could be cool. So I'm very on board with Pattinson. Again, my whole thing is, and I respect what you said, because most people need reference material to get into it, right? So maybe you'll see him in the suit like this one, and you'll get excited. Yeah. Or maybe you'll see set photos, and you'll be like, okay, that looks good. We know he can act. My problem is I get frustrated when people, like on our page on Facebook, you pricks, when you're like, no, I don't want sparkly vampire boy. Blah, blah. That was a thing he did. First of all,
that was me. Actually.
That was a thing he did.
That was you that posted that.
That was actually me. I'm so sorry.
That was his early career work that he absolutely hated. He talked about he couldn't stand doing the Twilight movies, and he's moved on to do such amazing dramatic films, and nobody pays attention to that. So when that's your attitude of, oh, I don't know anything about this person, but I'm automatically going to say no, then I immediately cast you off. You guys seem to have, I think everybody in this room has a good head on their shoulders, because if you're not, like, both of you don't see him as Bruce Wayne.
Nope.
And that's based off look, and that's fine.
But I 100% agree with you, though. I may just need source. Like, once I can see it.
I think that once you guys get, like, good reference.
If I can see a clip of him being Bruce, or if I can see him.
Right, yes.
I mean, anybody can put on a suit and pretend to be Batman.
Right.
I mean, I do that sometimes.
Well, I broke the other day. Remember, I sent you the one photo where he was in the tuxedo. I said, this is the first time where I'm like,
and he looked good.
That's Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
And I told you the way that I'm rationalizing it in my head is I'm thinking of it more. I'm trying to take the previous iterations of Batman or like the comic book ones out, but if I think about the Telltale Batman,
right? Yes,
that's when it works. I'm like,
and
that's
to me,
him.
it's going to be very close to that, because the Telltale series was all detective work, almost entirely detective work.
And he was young and
it was
kind
almost
of slim.
The only problem I had with the Telltale series was the fact that you're not really controlling anything. You're just watching. You're just watching a movie and then hitting the button when it tells you to hit the button.
Yeah.
You
get to pick a line, but we're still in control of the story.
Right?
Yeah.
Did you not still love it though? I thought the same thing.
Yeah,
I was like, wow, I'm doing nothing. This is so good.
That stuff with Falcone, when he stood up to Falcone, that stuff was great. I mean, there was a lot, and I did like. There were some choices where all the answers seemed like in the same vein. But there were some that had dramatically different answers. And then when you hit one being like, oh, I wonder what this will do, and it says something like, Harvey will remember that. I was like, oh, fuck, Harvey will remember that. Like,
well, when I played it, I like honestly thought that there was no good outcome. I think they set it up that I felt dread the whole time. Like I never made the right choice. It was always the wrong choice. They did such a good job.
What's great about the internet age is that we can go on YouTube and watch every ending, like every possible.
Well, and I will say this about Jonah Hill. No matter what he plays,
right?
Robert Pattinson. I was all for a Jared Leto Joker, and he let me down.
Okay, so I'll counter that just real quick. I don't think he let us down so much as the writers and the directors let us down. Because I loved, if you took away the ridiculous grill and the tattoos and stuff, his performance was pretty eerie. Yeah. So I think Leto was in the right mind frame and he did what he could. But also, everybody says it. The biggest problem with the Suicide Squad is we didn't get enough of him. We didn't get to see enough of him to really get a feel for the Joker. And that was the issue.
Arguably the greatest villain in comic book history.
Right. And they made
Batman's only Batman because freaking Joker is who he is, and they screwed the pooch.
They made him a secondary villain, and not only that, they gave us fuckboy Joker, which is really unsettling.
Well, even the director finally came out. It was a year after. And
Right.
he said,
Oh, yeah.
my biggest mess up was that I should have never had Enchantress as the villain. and
Right.
I should have just let Joker
Yeah,
be the villain.
he did.
And it probably would have been a way better movie.
Yeah.
And I think that, and again, going back to the Arkham games, those are, in my opinion, the greatest representation of Batman and the Joker that you'll ever see. They hit the nails on the head 100 times over, and they're perfect. If you can translate that to screen, which again, what's his name from Boondock Saints, who played the detective,
Willem Dafoe.
Willem Dafoe. He would be a perfect older Joker.
Oh, he would be.
He would be an amazing Arkham style. If you were going to translate the Arkham games from that to screen, Willem Dafoe would be an amazing. And I kind of have my foot in that John Hamm camp because
I
I,
was just
think
about to say that.
John Hamm would be a pretty stellar. We forget because he moved over to comedy really quick after Mad Men, but we forget how serious and how brooding the guy can act.
Yeah.
You know, and he's funny as hell, and I'm glad that he moved over to comedy because we got really great SNL skits and movies and stuff from him. But I think that he could be a solid older Batman. And
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you 100%. And in fact, I've often wondered why Willem Dafoe has not been cast as Joker.
I wonder if it's because he was Green Goblin and he doesn't want to be the. I mean, you got to wonder if somebody hasn't, after all the internet campaigns and all the people passing that stuff around, if he hasn't at least been talked to about it. And maybe in his head, I did Green Goblin, I don't need to do this, you know.
Oh, one last thing too before I forget. I'm throwing a renegade prediction in the hat here.
Sure.
I think Jonah Hill might be the Mad Hatter.
Oh, wow.
Because everybody's saying obvious one is Penguin. I agreed with the
If
Riddler.
he were
I
still
was like,
fat Jonah Hill, then obvious one would be Penguin.
yeah, and I was like,
Yeah.
well, Riddler would be a good pick because you
Riddler
wouldn't really
would
see
not
that.
be a
No,
good
would
pick.
not.
I'm just saying because you wouldn't see that coming necessarily.
Right,
But
yeah.
then I thought about it. I was like, what if they need
Yeah.
somebody obscure so he'd be Hatter?
Do you think he could play the wiry, kind of zany Mad Hatter?
I think his version would be not like
I think
anything
it would
we've
be a
seen
completely
before.
different version
Yeah.
of the Mad
Do you think
Hatter.
it'd be closer to the Gotham Jervis Tetch, where he wasn't so insanely bizarre, but he was just a little
I
out
think
there?
yeah, like I could
Yeah.
literally in my head see it now, like where he's just more like super smart and just kind of twisted, like not as over the top, but
Okay,
just, you
can
know
I-
what I mean,
can
like
I throw-
sinister.
A little goofy, but a little off center.
Can I throw one more out there that you guys will probably hate?
Poison
but
Ivy,
I've had this thought.
Poison Ivy.
No, a young, up and coming Harvey Dent. Do you think that's possible? Because you got to remember the age range that they're going to be in.
Well, yeah, they're about the same
He,
age.
Bat-
he could be a young.
Because
Harvey
we know
Dent.
Two-Face is supposed to be in this in some capacity.
I don't know why they keep trying to push Two-Face on us.
I agree.
It's like they keep trying to push Dark Phoenix on us. We don't care. We don't.
Yeah, why do you keep the X-Men have had more storylines than just Days of Futures Past and Dark Phoenix?
Because that's all they show.
Right.
Honestly, I want the Joker. Give me the best Joker you can give me.
So do you not feel like there's any kind of, and honestly, as a fan, do you not feel like there's any kind of Joker fatigue right now that we maybe could use a little breather?
I don't think, because I haven't seen it on film. Now, right now with the Bat Who Laughs, it's a little Joker fatigue.
Well,
But it's cool.
I think we definitely have to keep the comics and the movie separate, right? I just mean in the with all the Arkham games all being very Joker heavy, with the movies pretty much never not having a Joker. You know what I mean? Like,
I think as long as Batman and Joker are together, there's never going to be fatigue.
Yeah.
You think
And it's
so?
usually always different iterations.
The
We-
only-
we have never
yeah.
seen the same one more than once.
The only thing
other
I
than
have
games.
fatigue of is seeing the Waynes get shot. I swear to God,
Yeah.
if they show me
I
one
think-
more time how Batman got all messed up.
Yeah. I think Matt
No, we
Reeves
get it.
said that he was like, I don't plan on showing you the Wayne's murder again. Which is just a good decision, man. We've
Yeah.
seen it. Speaking of the Waynes getting shot, though, that moves on to our next piece of news. I'm really excited about this because this is my favorite thing ever. Jeffrey Dean Morgan just came out and said, if they still want to make it, because Ezra Miller says that the Flash movie is still on, Jeffrey Dean Morgan says he still really wants to play Thomas Wayne Batman.
I love that idea.
Yeah,
I don't think
think
anybody
he's-
else could do it. After
He's
thinking of
perfect.
him.
He's
No.
perfect in every sense of the word. I'm in love with him, and I want him to be Thomas Wayne Batman. No, he really is phenomenal pick for casting for
I
that.
literally get goosebumps when I think about it.
And to know
He's
that
perfect.
to know that he wants to do it just as much as we want him in that
Yeah.
role, that's amazing.
They'll
That's
probably cast John Hamm.
Dude, yeah, they probably will. But I love that storyline, that alternate.
Flashpoint, man. It's an
Flashpoint is
insanely, and that's one
so
thing
clever.
that is great about Tom King's writing right now in the Batman ongoing series, is that he, for the first time since Flashpoint, has brought Thomas Wayne Batman back. So we have Thomas Wayne's Batman in the ongoing continuity, and I'm loving every minute of it.
This one's a little more twisted, though, isn't he?
No, he's Thomas Wayne Batman. So the idea is
Yeah,
what
but
he's
isn't he,
doing
like,
now is he came over from, he was expelled from his timeline somehow. They haven't exactly cleared it up, or maybe I just didn't get it when they did. But Bane took over the city, and Thomas helped Bane dispatch of his son and break his heart. So when Selena Kyle didn't show up for the wedding, it broke his heart. And he did that not because Thomas Wayne is truly evil, but because he would rather him take over as Batman in Bane's Gotham and let his son go have a life. And that's what he's wanting. But the whole story is about Bruce Wayne can't just stop being Batman.
I just saw something really huge that he put into motion that was terrible, and I was like, wow, I don't think I like Thomas Wayne anymore. I don't want to say what it is because it's huge, and I don't know if
Yeah, there
anyone's
was a
listening.
huge
I mean,
thing that
it's
happened.
like big.
There was
big.
we're now 4 issues past it, so we can talk about it on this show. For the first time in any main continuity book, Alfred was just killed. Bane snapped
Yeah,
his neck
Bane
in
snapped his
front
neck.
of Damian Wayne.
Yeah.
And
That was pretty wild.
that was a pretty... Now, you always have to wonder, what's the caveat here? Was it fake? Did Bane do this to break Damian? Was there... What happened? But this is essentially the first time in any main continuity Batman book that Alfred was killed. And it was pretty intense. But but yeah, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, he wants to keep playing, or he still wants to play Thomas Wayne Batman. I think I'm just all for it.
I am too.
Agreed.
So in the vein of the Joker movie coming out, I'm sure you guys have heard there's been a little bit of controversy, and it's not been a controversy that I like roll my eyes at immediately. It's actually something kind of interesting. The families and friends of the survivors of the victims of the Colorado shooting. You remember the Dark Knight shooting in Aurora, Colorado?
Yes.
They have come together and they sent a letter to Warner Brothers about the Joker movie. And it was nothing, it really wasn't like anything heavy-handed like we demand you stop or you not put this movie out or blah, blah, blah. It's a little late for that. But they put a note out saying, we understand that you have the right to freedom of expression and creativity in this. And it was actually very lovely worded. But it was basically saying, we are afraid. We are afraid because we had happened to us one of the worst things that has ever happened. Something that we just never could have imagined. And now we have people that we love who are gone. And we're afraid that movies like this may be slightly glorifying that act of somebody walking into a theater and doing what he did. Especially since that guy, when he went to trial, he wore a shirt that said, like, the Joker, and he was calling himself the Joker and all that kind of stuff. And I don't remember his name, and I wouldn't say it on this podcast because, he doesn't deserve it.
You don't glorify those kind of guys.
Right. But, so my whole thing is I understand the concern. I really do. As a gun person myself, and we talked about this, as a gun person, I just believe in responsibility, and I believe in people doing the right thing. And I think it's awful. Now, I would never say that they shouldn't put out a movie like this because, again, that is censorship and that is where it crosses the line. But I do understand the concern and maybe the feeling around it, knowing that it was a similar movie, because I think the idea was that this Joker movie is turning him into a protagonist. They're portraying him as a victim and explaining why he did these awful things. And the fear is that somebody will watch it and go, I had all these things happen to me. I can go hurt people,
Well, I guess I understand that argument, but I perceive this new evolution of Joker really to be more about our society.
Right.
So back in the 60s, what do you do to make a guy crazy? You throw him in a vat of chemical waste, right?
Right.
But today, in order to make a madman, you just stick him in society.
Right.
And society does all the
Realistically,
work. Yeah, does
there's
all the
no
work
more
to make
ace
him who he
chemicals.
is.
You know, we are now
Yeah.
in
Well, and society will do a whole lot worse to a person's psyche than ace chemicals ever would.
right.
You know, so I understand that, but art also reflects what's around us,
Right. Art imitates life.
Yeah.
You know, and it is.
and not the other way around.
So 100%. I don't believe in the narrative of, and we're not going to go like in politics here, but I don't believe in the narrative of movies, TV, and video games causing, turning people into murderers or turning them into that stuff. But I do think it's okay to take a look at it and say, are you glorifying this for art? Are you glorifying this for a reason, or are you glorifying something awful? Just for shock value.
I think they're trying to show how the Joker could be made by the circumstances around us. But I had also heard that people had actually threatened that they were going to shoot up theaters during
Yeah.
Joker for whatever reason.
Yep.
And so some theaters have actually they're not going to show the movie.
Yep,
Now,
I've heard the same thing.
I'm going to go watch it because I'm a huge Joker fan and I'm
Oh,
a huge
yeah.
Joaquin Phoenix fan. And I know
Yes.
that he's going to kill this role. And I know that it has no continuity with any of the other, like, DC.
Which I still think is a
stuff.
red herring, but
Yeah,
I
but-
still think they're gonna. As much as he protests and he keeps saying in the media, this will never connect. I think it's gonna connect with.
Speaking of which, yeah, I saw an article today that said De Niro might have just let a huge spoiler slip on whatever late night show he's on. So I quickly threw my phone across the room because I was like, "Nope, I'm too
Really?
close. I've already got my tickets. I'm not
Oh, you
gonna
got your
ruin it."
ticket already?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
The I have it.
Oh, but to go back to what you were saying, didn't DC respond and say that they wouldn't, like they would honor what they were asking? They're like, we won't show it in Aurora or something like that.
Oh, they will not show it in the theater. That was yeah.
Yeah.
That theater in Aurora, Colorado, will not be showing the Joker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and which is
I mean, can you really
totally
can you
understandable.
really blame them for just
get that.
asking, just saying, can you please just not? And then DC being like, absolutely.
Well, I don't
we
even know if
understand.
they asked that. I just think it was like the thing where they were like, "This seems distasteful,"
Yeah.
Let's not.
But at what point does that become enough? Like the next Batman movie, do they not show that one? And I mean, at what point does the shooter stop winning?
Right, because I mean, I'm sure they showed John Wick 3.
well, and
So,
that's
I mean,
so I agree. So at what point? So I guess what you mean is at what point are you just now giving in to the demands of the shooters and giving
Right.
in to the
Yeah.
to them, and they're now winning because they made such an impact.
Yeah.
Because I think that's all a lot of these psychos want to do is they want to impact and they want to leave a mark.
They are weak, cowardice individuals
Correct.
who I could say a lot of things, probably not appropriate, but but these are scum that want to use fear to control people because everything else in their life is out of control.
Well, one of the greatest Batman lines of all time came from the very first issue. Came from Detective Comics 27, and it's that criminals are a cowardly and superstitious lot, and the only way to handle them is by fear, which is how we got the Batman. And it still rings true to this day. They are cowards. They are, and it's just a shame. But I really do send good prayers out to those families, and just we would never want that. No matter where you stand in these kind of issues, you would never want those families to have to feel the pain of losing their kids or losing their
No.
loved ones again. You'd have to be just as much of an asshole as the shooter.
I've got two kids, and both of my kids, we have to have a drill now. We have to understand, like, before we go into a store,
Right.
it's like, well, if we get separated, we're going to meet back here in 10 minutes.
Right.
If something happens and we get separated, meet at this location, and just know that if Daddy's not there in 10 minutes, then Daddy's not here.
Yeah.
'Cause-
Yeah, I mean, and I think you gotta,
Yeah.
and it's, but all in all, I'm excited for the movie. I can't wait to see it. I'm definitely gonna be there. Maybe not opening night. I'm really not an opening night kind of person.
loser.
But yeah, I can't help it. I'm just not a opening night kind of person.
I will
But
see it matinee when it's cheap. I'll buy a morning
Yeah.
Saturday morning ticket.
Well, that's what I am. I usually wait for the middle of the week,
Yeah.
and then I go sometime in the morning.
I'm in the, no big deal. I'm in the A list for AMC.
Yeah,
so,
I got
it's
the
just one of my
A-list
free movies.
AMC stubs. Shut up.
bragging over there.
Anyways, so
Bra.
speaking of the Batman, the Matt Reeves movie, a new James Gordon was announced, and it is going to be Jeffrey Wright of Westworld acclaim. What's interesting is they said that they were heavily considering Mahershala Ali, but they decided not to give him the role because he is going to be Blade for Marvel, which makes sense, right? Because he's taking a prominent role in Marvel.
Yep.
And but Jeffrey Wright is Uatu, or what's his name? What?
Bless you.
The Watcher. What's the Watcher's name? Uatu? Isn't
I
it
don't
just
know. I could tell
Uatu?
you that.
Something.
I could
Yeah.
tell you the Witcher's name. It's Geralt. of
Geralt?
Rivia, but
I just saw photos yesterday that got released for The Witcher. He looks so stupid.
Let's not get sidetracked. I'll go for like 3 hours.
But I just thought it was interesting because Jeffrey Wright is also working for Marvel, but it's in a
Blade. Arguably though, Blade's like
Yeah,
Marvel.
no. Well, that's what I was going to say. It's Blade versus Jeffrey Wright's role, which is on a TV show, the What If show, as the Watcher.
And if you would have told me, say, hey, Mahershala gets one of these two, what do you pick? I'd be like Blade, 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 Blade.
Yeah, I'd
Like,
give him Blade before I gave him.
absolutely. And I think Jeffrey Wright is a fantastic.
Yeah,
choice.
no, he's really good.
He's a good actor, yeah.
I thought it was interesting how many people like straight away were like, no, I don't like. Why? He seems like he's solid. I like the pick.
A lot of people don't like change, and I won't go any further than that. But sometimes it's rightfully so. I agree. Sometimes things get changed. I'm like, this sucks.
Yeah.
I think sometimes the changes can be pandering.
Yeah.
It's like but I think for that kind of role, I think he'd be.
I
fine.
like this one. I like how he portrays himself in Westworld. So I imagine that is like Jim Gordon, and I think it's gonna be great.
Again, my whole thing is I couldn't care less that they're changing the race of Jim Gordon. He's going to be black. What I'm interested in is that we're now going to have a black Barbara Gordon, Batgirl, which is opening up a huge list of people I never would have thought about initially for the role. And the person that I would have initially...
Unless she's adopted.
Huh?
Unless
she's adopted, correct. The which would be... I'd be more annoyed at that change to the character than to
my
the
foster daughter, Barbara.
Like, that wasn't in the comics. Like, no, but the... I would have... Honestly, my first thought for that would have been Megan Good, but she's playing one of the Shazam family.
That movie sucked.
Really? You didn't like Shazam?
I did, but it sucked.
I thought it was...
It was entertaining, but
yeah, it was
stupid.
incredibly enjoyable, but it was... It like on second viewing, I was like, "This is kind of a stupid movie."
Yeah,
but,
it's like the kid, like whenever he was Shazam, he's like, "Yay, I'm so happy!" And then when he's a kid, he's like Batman,
so
brooding.
that was my only real complaint. Like there was a lot of little goofy things. My only real complaint was Billy Batson and Shazam Billy Batson did not match at all.
Not the same
you don't
character.
suddenly become like happy and goofy and dumb, and then every time you're in the kid mode, you're like, I hate everything. I'm going to Hot Topic. Like,
I actually never put that together until y'all just
really.
said it.
Yeah.
Now the movie's terrible.
I noticed
it was pretty
it.
bad.
I noticed it the entire movie, and I was trying to be like, something's kind of bugging me, but I couldn't figure it out. All in all, I actually really loved the movie. But when somebody pointed that out to me, I was like, that's it. That's what I couldn't figure out.
I'm also a big supporter of Idris Elba as 007. But that's
yeah, me too.
Yeah, I think he would be amazing.
He just addressed
anything.
on Hot Ones. He was on Hot. You've seen Hot Ones on YouTube, the First We Feast show. So he was just on Hot Ones, and he addressed. They were like, why? What's the deal? And he said, well, one, it's incredibly disheartening to want to take a role when a rumor of you taking this role comes out, and the entire world yells the N-word at you and says no. And he said that's how it felt. Like people just like his whole world turned into racial hate and just this incredible like negativity at once on a rumor. And he said, I decided that it just wasn't something I wanted to go through. And I felt awful just hearing that. I was like, I can't believe.
I thought everybody wanted him to do it.
Huh?
Well, there are some problems in our society, and I think some people they tend to go pendulum swings as they do.
Right.
I think people get so attached to a character,
right,
and rightfully so. They're no longer intellectual properties. They're no longer, that's kind of the question about Batman. Like, who should play Batman? At what point does the character stop being DC's character and starts being the fan's character?
Right.
And so I think fans sometimes can get a little overzealous in those ideas, and shut their self off from some really good possibilities.
Right.
And you tend to see that happening a lot right now, where there's a lot of kind of race changing. It normally happens to the redheads. I just feel bad for the gingers, because they get replaced in everything now. So, but I think, unfortunately, I think that's what happened. And Idris Elba's an amazing actor.
Yeah,
everything he does,
he really is.
I even loved him in The Office. I hated
Charles.
Yes. I hated Charles.
I was
Minor.
just thinking that.
Hated that character.
Charles was an
loved him.
awful character, but he was so good at
He
it.
was so perfect.
I always loved the line. It's probably in my top 3 where he goes, "I am aware of the effect I have on women."
Yes.
But I mean, everything Idris Elba has been in, I have
Yes.
absolutely loved, and I think he would kill the role just like anybody. Maybe he should be Commissioner Gordon. I don't freaking care.
He would actually be a great commissioner.
He
Gordon.
would.
I just want him
He's
to
scary.
I just
So-
want him to keep doing Luther.
I
So,
hate to
that's all
say
I do.
this because I don't know if it's even an insult or not, but Commissioner Gordon, that's not an exclusive list to me. Like, I feel like there's a wide range of actors who would do a great job in that role,
Yeah.
because it doesn't seem like a difficult role to really nail down.
No.
But yeah, Idris Elba would be an amazing pick, an amazing pick for that.
I think the actor they chose will do a fine job.
Yeah, he's gonna be great. Jeffrey
and
Wright's
it's
gonna
funny.
be awesome.
There's been very little comments about the race change there. Maybe people just don't care about Gordon.
If you stay off the internet, there has been, but
Okay.
unfortunately, we spend our life working on the show and seeing a lot of the crap on the
Yeah.
internet. And
Well, you know what they say about the internet. It's best to stay to the lit paths.
what?
Yeah, it's best to stay to the lit paths. There's some dark areas of the internet you got to stay away from.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah, no, yeah, we don't.
Yeah, but the
we don't
dark,
mess
the
around
dark
with the
areas
dark
always have
web.
they always have free shipping. So
They do, yeah.
Anyways, so Supernatural star Jared Padalecki is going to star in the Walker Texas Ranger
Walker
reboot.
Texas Ranger. How can you reboot something that had freaking Chuck Norris in it?
First of all, watch your mouth. I'm so excited. I think that Walker Texas Ranger was an awesome show. I remember
It was.
watching it
It was
all the time
amazing.
as a kid, and it honestly deserves a good, solid if they do it right. It's a show that deserves
I
a
think Jared could do
generation
it.
to know about it.
I
you
think,
know,
yeah, I think Jared could do it. But I mean, they've got to have Chuck Norris play some kind of other character in the show, in my opinion.
at least a cameo here or there.
it was funny when they said Jared was doing it.
Right.
I don't know about you guys, but my brain went, nobody else can do it.
Yeah,
He's
I
perfect.
immediately
He
thought
was
the same
the guy.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
He fits the role so great to me.
It's the hair and the fact that I think he might be a Disney princess.
Oh, okay. Well, if he can't be Nightwing, I guess Walker Texas Ranger is the
He's
next
just
best
too
thing.
old for Nightwing now.
You're
you
too
know.
old for Nightwing.
The once upon a time, that was a dream that him and what's his
Jensen.
name, Jensen Ackles would play Nightwing and Red Hood, but
Oh,
they're
that'd be cool.
they're just
that
too
had to
old
have been
now.
10 years ago.
It's great. It's kind of like when Dallas came back and they brought Homeboy back to play JR, and he was just old as dirt.
Yeah.
And unfortunately had health complications while filming the show. But if Norris could come back in some capacity, that'd be really sweet. That'd be awesome.
While we're on the topic of things like that, bring Rooster back, the ranch.
Yeah, Ashton Kutcher. I know Ashton Kutcher listens to this show every time
Yep.
we put one out. So if you could please try to figure out how to get Rooster back. We miss Danny Masterson so much.
And also Eliza,
awesome.
I love you. Cuthbert, Alicia, yes.
Well, she doesn't love you anymore.
So
Whatever.
one piece of news that kind of broke, and then it was really upsetting to me. And then like a few hours later, they came out with an update that got really exciting. Was that Hulu decided to drop the Ghost Rider TV show, and they are no longer going to be producing a TV show for Ghost Rider, which I was very excited for. That's a character I'm absolutely interested in. And the reason I was upset is obviously because that sucks. However, the update came out and it said, the reason Hulu decided to drop it was because Kevin Feige said, no, I want him in the MCU. So we're going to be getting the Ghost Rider no longer in a TV show, but joining the MCU. Which we talked about, the MCU is moving towards a very cosmic path. So I think they're trying to also be like, well, we also need our ground team. So who can we get on Earth? Who can we have that's going to be interesting and not in space all the time? And he's going to be one of them for sure.
If it's not Nick Cage, don't bother.
If it's not Nick Cage,
I think anybody but Nick Cage.
Oh, come on.
Like maybe Idris Elba.
Oh, God.
I just I was thinking a young buck,
What
but
about Megan Good?
yeah, Megan Good could be the
Ghost
new Ghost
Rider?
Rider. Yeah, why
Yeah.
not? Let's just give roles to anybody. Let's
Yeah,
just
who cares?
no. I think I'm kind of with Matt on this one. Nick Cage
You know,
or,
here
or
Betty
nothing.
White is not working on anything.
Betty
right
White,
now.
yeah.
She could
Betty
probably
White.
knock that out. of
She
the
could
park.
be Galactus.
I think it would be cool because this version of the Ghost Rider is going to be the new kid in the comics who drives the car.
Yeah.
It would be cool if Nick Cage like passed the mantle on to him or something.
That would
He's
be
like,
cool, yeah.
he's like, listen, kid, it's time for me to go. Here you go, the
That's a good
powers
Nick
of
Cage.
Satan. You know,
That's a really good Nick Cage, by the
wasn't
way.
bad.
I closed my eyes for a second. honestly.
oh my God, is Nick Cage in the room with us? No, but I love the character. I'm excited. One thing I'm very excited about. I was a huge fan of Supernatural. Oh wait, not Supernatural. We just talked about that.
But I am
I'm
also a
sorry.
huge fan
I
of
was a huge
Supernatural.
fan of Smallville.
Oh,
I did
Huge.
love Smallville.
You detested it?
I loved.
Oh, I thought you
Smallville.
said I detested it. I was like, oh my
I've
gosh.
got the DVD pack.
Yeah,
at home, yeah.
Smallville was a phenomenal, one of the best Superman shows ever done. And Tom Welling officially signed on for the Crisis Event.
Yeah.
And what sucks about that is like an hour after Tom Welling officially signed on with the woman who played Lois Lane in Smallville, they're both going to be back.
Yep.
Michael Rosenbaum, who played Lex Luthor, said, nope, I'm not doing it. And I was like, why?
Why?
Well, so he put out. It wasn't because of Tom or anything, because they're very close friends
Yeah.
still. He put out that they basically called his agent and said, "We need to know right now. Also, we can't give you a script. We can't tell you anything about it, and it's basically for no money. But we need to know now." And he said, "Okay,
then
well,
no,
that's
yeah.
that's the easy choice. No."
I'm gotta tell you, Rosenbaum is probably the best Lex Luthor to ever be on camera.
I'm a big fan of the old Gene Hackman from the
I am-
70s.
I am too.
Yeah.
But I think.
But no, you're right. He
Kills
was
it.
a phenomenal Lex Luthor. I just really wanted them all to be back, and I want Lana to be back. You know, I want her to just show up somehow. But I'm excited for this Crisis Event. We talk about it almost every time we do this show. I've fallen off of the CW shows because they've gotten so whatever they are, soap opera-y. But I'm very excited for the Crisis Event just to get to see all these like fan servicey moments.
It's like 90210 Batman.
90210 Batman.
I've
Yeah.
been saying it's like One Tree Hill.
Yeah,
They're
it
all
is.
like
Yeah.
One Tree Hill.
Like-
So that was a
yeah.
good comparison too.
But that's all the news that we got for this week, man. We're gonna we didn't tell you guys. Me and Matt are talking about bringing the show back weekly because we just, bi-weekly was nice because it gave us a lot more time to prepare. But
And then we didn't do that.
we just miss doing the show more often. So we're gonna start doing it weekly again and kind of just busting our asses and getting content out to you guys and maybe talking about more stuff for the future. But I want to take this moment before we do our ad read just to, again, thank everybody so much for listening. We have some awesome listeners, awesome participators on the Facebook page and on Twitter. And please, again, if you get the chance, rate the page, rate the podcast on whatever, iTunes, Google Play, Spotify you're listening to this on, and give us a rating on Facebook as well, the Bat in the Hat Podcast Facebook page. Matt, do you got anything before we do our ad read?
No, I'm just gonna do my vocal exercises to prepare.
All
Because
right,
I want
let's-
it to sound just like the last one.
Let's do an ad read. Hey everybody, what's going on? Me and Matt really do hope that you love the Bat in the Hat podcast, but did you know that you can actually get paid just for listening to this podcast? I know it sounds insane, but it's true. We just discovered this free new app called Podcoin, and it literally pays you to listen to podcasts. Here's how it works. You listen to podcasts and you earn Podcoin while you listen. Then you turn that Podcoin in for gift cards at places like Amazon or Starbucks. Or if you're a good human being, you could even donate that Podcoin to charity. The more you listen, the more you earn.
So here's what you do. Download the app right now on iPhone or Android, and I have a special code just for you. Simply use our code BAT in the Hat, and you'll get 300 Podcoin. Podcoins? Podcoin. Just for signing up. And if you listen to enough of us on there, you can get a cappuccino at Starbucks or maybe even an Amazon gift card on us. So go ahead. Go listen to this podcast or virtually any podcast on Podcoin. Sign up with code BAT in the Hat. I swear, it's going to change the way you listen to your podcast forever.
Ah, this is just a hell of an ad read,
That was
right?
we really kicked that one in the ass.
I
This time.
feel like we are consistently the same.
I don't know how we've gotten so good at making it sound like the same ad read every time.
I don't know, but our guests never contribute anything.
I know. Luke just sat
They
there
just
the entire
freeze.
time through that ad read. It's
He
fine.
started yelling obscenities,
Yeah.
but we didn't pick it up on the recording. So, anyways, yeah, let's jump into it. What's
Very
up?
cool. So, Luke, we got you here, and it's been such a pleasure having you, first and foremost.
Yes, thank you for
Thanks.
Eh.
I like talking comics and
Yeah, yeah,
nerd stuff.
absolutely love
Nerd
it.
stuff.
coming. Oh, you like comics?
So we brought you here because you wrote a comic series that I have the first 3 issues of right here. Pictures of covers and everything are going to be on our Facebook page, the Bat in the Hat Podcast on Facebook, and it is called Hybrids, the Sons of Gods. Tell me a little bit about where the title came from and what the story's about.
Okay, I'm pretty excited about this one. So, do you guys know who the Nephilim are by chance? Have you ever heard of those guys?
I'm not. no.
Okay, so legend has it that that some angels came down to Earth and they were supposed to be on some godly duty, but when they looked around, they saw all the ladies and they were like, well, we like what we see, and so they started to procreate with these ladies, and these children, these angel-human hybrids, were called the Nephilim.
Okay.
And stories of the Nephilim actually predate the Greek gods by about 1,500 years, and people that are a lot smarter than me actually believe that some of the stories are so similar to the Greek gods that the Greek gods, the Greeks actually, the Greeks
The
actually got inspiration from real stories of these Nephilim. And to lend some credibility to that, it's actually even mentioned in the Bible. I don't know if you're familiar, if you've ever read that book or not. You can,
I've heard good things.
it's a good read. It's a good read. It's,
the
I'm waiting
Bible,
for-
you
the
say.
Bible,
I've
yes.
been I've been waiting for the sequel. It's been like 3,000 years.
yeah, I don't think you're gonna get one. But you can go. Basically, you can go to any hotel room right now, and you can open up the drawer, and you can find this button. You can turn to Genesis chapter 6, and then there it talks about these angels coming
Right.
down and looking around, and so I got to thinking. So presumably, if this really happened, okay, let's say that right now in this room, maybe one or two or all of us might have some Nephilim or angel hybrid DNA lying dormant in us. Because I mean, if they saw ladies once and liked them,
Right.
I'm sure their kids saw ladies and liked them too. Maybe
Right.
some of them didn't like ladies, but who knows what they liked, But
Right.
apparently, people are having babies, right? So you know how genes work.
Yeah.
One leg at a time.
One leg at a time. Well, not those kind of genes. Genetics,
I
and
hate
kinda
you
like
so
all that
much,
stuff.
Matt. You're fired.
I've always thought I had like angel DNA. This is making a lot of sense.
Okay, yeah. See, so you could most, it's about 50%. Some people are like, I don't know about that, and other people was like, well, of course, it makes perfect sense. I've got angel DNA in my right now. But anyway, so as I was saying, Matt, this is my time.
Shut up, Matt.
I never get a time, so it's fine.
So, you know how genetics work. So what if this angel DNA kind of was laying dormant in our body as like a recessive trait or a dormant gene in our body for all this time? And what if something happened to wake it up? And,
Right.
so instead of having a recessive trait that would make you have blue eyes or red hair, what if you had a recessive trait that would essentially give you the power to lift buildings or teleport or control time and space,
Right.
read people's minds? And so we actually play out that very scenario in the book. People seemingly out of nowhere start to develop the power of the Greek gods, godlike abilities. But no sooner do they start to develop these powers, they start to vanish. The people start to vanish.
Okay, so are these powers meant to mirror some of the Greek gods, almost specifically? Like the main
Yes and
character,
no.
his name is the Trash Man, right?
He's Trash Man.
He's
Yeah.
Trash Man, and that just makes me think of the Danny DeVito from Sons.
Just throw me in
what
the
was
trash.
what was it called? It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Love that show.
I come on stage and I just start throwing trash everywhere. I'm the Trash Man.
Well, and then he cuts Cricket's throat, and he's like, "Oh, I really got you there, didn't I?" Yeah. But no,
But-
I love that first scene in your first issue, or the first issue where he just
Yeah.
says, "I'm the trash man." It's like
He's
out of
like,
nowhere.
"I'm
You're like,
Trash
"Whoa,
Man."
whoa!"
Yeah.
I dug.
That's awesome.
I dug that he was running through the yard of what's it called? He's running through the trash yard, whatever it's called.
dump?
Yeah, the dump. Sure, he's running through the dump, and
Yeah.
and you got a really cool sense, kind of immediately, of the action of what was going on, and them taunting him from the ship and whatnot. And when he finally lets his powers go, that was just a super cool panel. I really did appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate
And
that.
I love how it just jumps right in. Like, I mean, it took like, I don't know, what, 4 frames, and it seemed like you were
Hang on.
already in it.
What I
I'm
wasn't
ADHD, so I got to go quick.
what I wasn't expecting was right after, like, you're thrown into all this action, and then it's like 2 days ago, and then
Earlier that day.
like earlier that day, and he's actually in a trash. Why can't I fucking think of words today? He's
Well,
in.
words are hard.
He's in a.
You're obviously not a Nephilim.
He's in a dump truck, and he's like actually picking up trash.
He's
like,
a literal trash
You're
man.
like,
a literal
oh, he's
trash
the
man.
trash man.
And
He's
I'm
a
like-
literal trash man. That's what he does, and that's his. So kind of the story. It's not just about powers. Really, what happens is we follow some people that. So since these what I'm calling hybrids are coming up missing, we actually follow a group of heroes that's trying to find out who's taking them, where are they taking them, and why are they taking them.
Right.
Some 3 basic things, and they're doing this so feverishly because they've got some loved ones that have been abducted, and so they're trying to find these answers out. They're trying to do that, and so in the process, they start to thwart some abduction attempts, and we actually
Right.
start the story with Clarence, aka Trash Man, getting them attempting to abduct him. He's a little harder to handle than they realize. They weren't quite certain of his abilities, so that's kind of what happens there. But yeah, I wanted to when I started writing the story, I didn't want to follow the normal progression of things. It's like
Right.
most people, when they do an indie comic book, they put out the entire premise of the entire story in the first 5 to 8 pages, and so basically you don't never have to read another story again to know what's going on.
Right.
It's just arbitrary. But I wanted to develop characters and a team and kind of this world going around without giving everybody information all at once.
So let me ask you a question real quick. So
Yeah.
we have the hybrids.
Yeah.
Those are the people that are vanishing.
Yes.
So there's a completely different set of heroes that are investigating the vanishes?
Yes and no. So,
Oh, okay.
I just realized I never answered your question on why I got the title Hybrids, the Sons of Gods. So hybrids being angel and human hybrids.
Right.
And Sons of Gods because they're the inspiration for the Greek gods. Okay, so that. But this team of heroes, there are hybrids involved with it, but it's
Okay.
actually ran by 2 guys that are not heroes at all.
Okay.
They're just normal guys.
Right.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and with a lot of human problems.
Right on.
Yeah.
But are they necessarily evil? Are they
the good guys?
no the people trying to hunt down Trashman and everything? I mean, are they?
Absolutely. Well,
Because it came across to me reading the first couple issues that they were
More like on a mission rather than
right, that there was
evil?
some nefarious agenda behind what was going on.
there certainly is nefarious agenda behind what's going on.
Gotcha.
Okay.
And not all of the villains are who you think they are.
Okay.
Which we explore that over the course of 5 issues.
Mm-hmm.
The first arc is going to be 5 issues. There's 3 out now, and 4 will be out soon. But there's always 2 sides to every story. We just kind of got done talking about, how the Joker, in this new movie, they think that they're going to try to make you more of a protagonist.
Right.
Well, not every person that does villainous things is a villain, and not
Right.
every person that does heroic things is a hero.
right.
And we kind of explore
Or
that
people
a little bit.
who think that they're doing, or like not everybody who does good things or does bad things think they're a villain, right? Not everybody, people who they think they're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Right.
And sometimes people have to do bad things in order to do the right thing.
Fair enough. Wow.
Yeah, like so if you've ever seen Wicked, the Broadway, it's the story
I was
of,
just about to say like
well,
the
yeah,
Broadway show.
it's the story of the
It's
wicked,
wrong
the
podcast,
wicked witch,
dude.
the Wicked Witch from
Right.
Wizard of Oz,
Yeah.
And,
which all we know her as is a villain, right? Well,
Right.
this is completely how she got to that point, and then you realize,
What makes her-
wow, like she was not.
Oh,
really
I just
always
realized
bad.
that is that Wicked is basically the premise of the Joker.
Yeah,
and the
it's
fact
exactly
that it
the
is
same.
how somebody turned into a, and then you see
Nothing
that
new.
the Wicked Witch of the East,
Yeah.
the fairy princess, and she was actually the bully and the one who turned her into what she
Yeah.
was. So
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah, so we, we kind of explore some of those, even though we've got some superpowered people, that have angel DNA in them. We try to explore some more human aspects of relationships and why we do what we do. And one of the, one or more of the villains will come out as being differently motivated. So
So let me ask you. I was very interested in because knowing you, I knew that you were a Christian, you were in the church, and I was honestly expecting a little heavier themes of religion, but it doesn't seem like it seems like this is not written for that. Like it seems like it's something can be enjoyed by, like me. You know, I'm an atheist. It seems like it's something that anybody could enjoy. How did you go about when you were writing it, kind of walking those lines of knowing your faith but still wanting everybody to be able to enjoy it?
Thank you. That's a good question. I actually get a lot of heat because my book isn't Christian enough for people.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Because people expect, what I do, my background, kind of my day job. They expect me to, to be really heavy-handed with faith. Now,
Right.
This is not a Christian comic book, by the way, but it is written from a Christian's worldview.
And that's kind of what I was thinking, because it's like when you see like a Christian rock band, like they're writing music specifically for the purpose of Christianity or of praising God, right? As opposed to a rock band that's just a rock band but maybe have Christian members, So I think that's kind of the vibe I was getting, where this is not a Christian comic book, but it is written from a Christian point of
You'll
view.
even notice that issue 2 has a mature rating on it, because there's some a little bit of language and quite a bit of blood. But yeah, it's
Right on.
Rated M for mature.
Oh, yeah.
it is a book that I want Christians and non-Christians alike to be able to enjoy. And I'm going to give your listeners a bit of a spoiler. At the end of issue 4, you learn that one of our main characters is an atheist.
Right.
And they have to reconcile the idea that they have angel DNA in them.
Oh, that's good.
Oh yeah. That's
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's an internal struggle that a lot of people have.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
You know what's funny about that is like the show, like Supernatural, like when they started meeting angels and demons and all this stuff, and then they were finally like, wait, but is God a thing? And they're like, it's not like you might think. Like it's so I kind of dig that, where it's like you may believe this thing, and then you have to deal with this evidence of something else. You know what I mean? So that's an interesting theme right there.
I do try to inject the conversation about faith. Hopefully what I hope happens is when people will read it, they will have these open conversations about faith and how this kind of plays into it, because the premise is based off of historical things that people believe, and not just me or a few people, but large numbers of people believe really happened.
Right.
They really believe angels came down. They really believe they had babies with the ladies. They really believe that this stuff happened. And,
Right.
And if that happened, then we could essentially be, ancestors of these people. But,
Right.
But it does make us think, well, let's have a conversation. You're an atheist. I'm not.
Right.
So we have two different standpoints there, but how can we have a conversation if we just kind of entrench ourselves into two different sides and say that if we disagree with each other, then we must not be able to converse with each other?
Right.
I wanted to create a book that gave people the option and the opportunity to both enjoy it, and they can kind of connect with the comic and then have conversations about those things. Whether they come
Absolutely.
to agree on it or not, that's fine. I hope that people might examine their faith a little bit by asking the question, but I'm not expecting the book to introduce people really to faith in that way. I really, one of my biggest problems with Christian media is that it's very cheesy and kind of goofy.
Agreed. Fair enough.
It's kind of almost out of place. It's unrealistic. It whitewashes life, and it's just not how it is.
You really hit that nail on the head, because when I was coming up in the church, I always felt like, and I remember telling my mom this. My parents are both very heavy in their faith, but they've also been very accepting, of me and my choices and whatnot. And one of the biggest things was, I remember talking and being like, this doesn't seem real. Like when we used to go to like Vacation Bible School, and a lot of the movies or like the songs or just like Christian media, like you said, it can tend to be very unrealistic, very idealistic of what they would love to believe is how the world is shaped, but it's not.
It tries to clean it up, and
Yes.
and I dare to change that a bit, and show that relationships are messy and they're dirty, and that sometimes what we believe the Bible says versus what the evidence of how God works in our lives might
Right.
not always be the same. And it's not that Scripture's wrong, but it's that we're wrong.
Well,
that we've
So do you mean like as far as interpretation and whatnot, and,
Yeah,
and what
yeah,
people believe
yeah.
it to be?
Yeah.
Because we've seen there many different types of atheists, many different types of Christian. It all depends on how they have perceived those interpretations, and so that's really interesting to see because again, it's refreshing to have a book knowing where you come from and your background. But again, being able to enjoy it myself and not have to, like you said, it gives you the opportunity to have that conversation, but it doesn't shove it down your throat to where you have to have that conversation. If you just want to talk about
if you want
comics,
to, yeah.
we can talk about comics.
Yeah.
You know, if you
And-
wanted to go further, you could.
And it gives me the opportunity to have conversations with people about that as well. And,
Right.
And so not only that, and I also inside of the story, I want to represent everybody fairly and equally.
Right.
I feel like, and it's an opportunity since I can write it from a Christian worldview, and I'm writing it for everyone's enjoyment. I can insert Christians that are honest and realistic and not like what some media wants to portray us.
Right.
And I'm not going to blame the media. I mean, a lot of Christians have done a really good job of making themselves look bad.
Right. Fair enough.
But
Haven't we all?
yeah, but you know, I want people to realize that a person of faith can sit down at a table with a person that doesn't have faith, and we can have a conversation and still at the end of the day, go have a cup of coffee together or a beer if that's your thing, and
Right.
Have a sandwich and just be able to connect over a story.
Right.
And I wanted something that was going to be kind of not necessarily safe, because I don't like to write safe things or be safe.
Right.
But have something that you and I both can enjoy.
Right.
And this guy,
For
even
sure.
if he can read.
So let me ask.
Oh.
I'm just teasing, man. I'm teasing. I have to do that.
Oh, I'm sitting
I
here
only-
listening
No.
intently, and I still get burned.
No big words.
Oh man. Oh.
So let me ask, where did you get the inspiration for the Trash Man? And does he have an alter ego name? Because I don't remember it.
Yeah, his real name is Clarence.
Okay.
And he does not like to be called Clarence.
Right.
He got made fun in. Eventually, I'll tell this part of the story, but he got made fun in high school. They called him 9-foot Clarence.
Okay.
Yeah. So because he's tall, he's
Yeah,
super
he's a
tall,
huge,
right?
he's
Yeah,
a
he's
huge
too,
guy.
so
I
he's
love
kinda
that
like-
shot of him in the dump truck where he's like huddled in, like because he looks like if you shoved the Thing or the Hulk into a truck, and it's funny.
I
yeah.
like how they acknowledge it in the conversation, because you see it first, and he's massive, and the
Yeah.
guy he's with is like normal size, what you would think
Yeah.
is normal, and he's like, "Dude, you're huge." Like essentially, he's like, "No," and he's like, "Oh yeah, sure, you don't."
I
work
was
out."
I love
Yeah,
I
sure,
did
you
love
don't
what he
got-
said. He was like, I was born that way.
Yeah.
I was like, I was
Yeah,
born
sure,
this
you
way.
were.
busting
that
out the truck.
Yeah, sure, you're born that way with
Yeah.
biceps bigger than my head.
Yeah.
But he goes by Trash Man. That's what he does.
Yeah.
That's his. And so he keeps that moniker. That's what people know him as.
I was gonna say I kind of dig it. He owns that persona. It's like a bunch of years ago. I work at a comic book shop now, and a bunch of years ago that would have been something that was like weird to tell somebody, or like weird to. But now you're kind of in that mode of like, I own it, man. I love this is my life, man. I love comics. I love what I do, and for anybody to take their title and wear it like as a badge of honor. That's awesome, man. That's always really cool.
Well, I part of that is I want people to be able to do that. Like, love who you are, love your own skin.
Right.
Yeah, things are awkward for Trash Man because he's so big. But he knows who he is. He doesn't question who he is. Even when he gets superpowers,
Right.
he's still Trash Man. That's what he is. And I think we all should be that way. We should be like, hey, this is how God made me, or if you don't believe in God, this is how I was born. Either way.
Oh yeah. So no, I know we discussed this off prior to recording. So you said the first run is 5 issues, and you're about to go on to the 4th, correct?
Yeah, 4th is the colors will have the last couple pages to me Monday, and then lettering should be finished at some point this
Cool.
week. I'm drawing the cover today, actually.
So like in the grand scheme of things, this is more than a one.
Oh yeah. This is the first arc of 3.
Okay, that yeah.
Each
Tell us about
arc that I have planned.
It's kind of
So-
like the Umbrella Academy, how they come out in like spurts of
Yeah.
like 12 or 10 issues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do spurts of 5, and so each arc will be 5 issues. This arc will wrap up with the 5th issue, and the next year we'll have another arc. That series will be called. It'd still be Hybrids of Sons of Gods, but the kind of subtitle would be Love Loss. So parts 1 through 5, and then
And you've already got some of that like in your head, or
it's
like,
all and most of it's scripted already too.
I was about to say, have you done outlines for all that stuff and everything? And
yeah, and then following that there'll be another 5 issues called The Necromancer. And that's the story that I wanted to tell, but I had to tell these other 2 arcs in order to make that arc important to people.
For sure.
So that one's coming out, and so that one's going to be really fun. I'm really excited about that. This next arc is going to be if I'm trying to develop the characters to the point to where you care so much about what happens to them in the next series, in the next arc. And then also next year we're going to release a companion piece that goes along with this. It's a comic called Armageddon Watch, where members of this comic, this series, and members of some other characters from some books, some friends of mine on Starcross Comics were sharing characters for this series, where they form a team trying to prevent the end of the world.
Wow, interesting.
So it's going to be neat. So it's going to be kind of a big mashup there. So that'll be a 5-issue arc as well. Kind of looking forward to how that turns out, but it's a big
That's funny that you said the 3rd arc is called Necromancer, because number one, that's awesome. But I was thinking
Raising
about
the dead, right? Necromancy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah. But I was thinking about the Nephilim when you were discussing that earlier, and I was like, why do I know this? And obviously I've heard it through speaking in the Bible, things like that. But it's because I've read a lot of the Diablo novels, and then you said Necromancer, and I'm like, now we're getting in my territory here. This is all Diablo.
So speculations. What do you think the Necromancer series storyline is going to be about?
Hopefully, a main character that is a necromancer. I don't know, or the fact that somebody had died and they'll bring him back, or some. I don't.
It all sounds great, doesn't it?
It does.
You'll have to read it to find out.
Yeah, I'm ready. Let me
let
me pre-order.
I was about to say I'm on board for everything you got
down.
that comes out.
It's awesome.
I was gonna ask this last question, but you already answered it. But I'll ask it anyways. Other than this series, do you have any other projects or ideas that you've been working on or want to work on?
Oh, I do. And not just hybrids, and not just stuff connected to hybrids. I've got a couple of different things working. I just did an 8-page script for hopefully a 4-issue miniseries called The Eighth Day. It kind of follows a 17-year-old girl and her 10-year-old brother as they emerge from a fallout shelter. After 7 years of being in there, there was a mistake. It was supposed to be 7 days after this bomb goes off. Mom and Dad die outside, and they're stuck in the shelter for 7 years. And so it's their story.
Stuck in the shelter, like conscious
alone.
or okay,
conscious alone. So they grow up inside of this shelter.
Yeah,
and it's their first days out into this new world. They have no idea what they're going to encounter.
Wow.
And so it's this kind of dystopian future.
Right.
And they haven't progressed. They don't know any of the news. They don't know anything that's gone on.
Right.
The world around them is completely changed. They have no idea. And so it's learning this new world and kind of following their story. I'm looking forward to that. And then I have a comic that I'm trying to revitalize that I released a while back, but it's a book called Worst Day Ever. And it follows a guy named Charlie. He's kind of one of the, you've heard nice guys finish last, right? Well, this guy is like the epitome of that. His life sucks. He can't make ends meet. He's got a crush on the local barista. Can't seem to work up the nerve to ask her out. He has to go to work dressed as a hot dog. His super manly best friend, he's constantly living in his shadow. And all of that is made worse by the fact that they're in the middle of a zombie apocalypse. So
right on.
He literally has to go to work dressed as a hot dog in the middle of a zombie apocalypse.
Okay.
And
so it's the idea that the zombie apocalypse happens, but society keeps moving.
It keeps moving,
right.
And his life sucks, and zombies are just a nuisance.
This is
know
why
what's
I love
funny?
hanging out with people like y'all, because I've heard some of your story ideas too, and then all the ones you just mentioned are fantastic. Like, I love hanging around people like y'all with just pop off these great ideas.
coming up with like that. My favorite thing about writing is just being able to sit there and be like, wouldn't this be weird? And then kind of writing something out about it.
Weird.
Outlines are really fun
that
because
weird?
like you have that idea of, wouldn't this be weird? And then you can outline it and
Yeah.
see if it would go anywhere.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh shit, I have something, and then kind of going after it.
Yeah, that's what happened with hybrids. Like, I was like, hey, we had a conversation about the Nephilim. Like, hey, wouldn't
Right.
that be cool? You know, and then like we started talking about aliens and all this other stuff in Atlantis, and all that's going to make it in the book. But someone's like, I said, man, that would make a cool comic book. And they said, dude, you should make that a comic book. And so
Right.
that's what I started doing.
The only thing I got is a right-handed guy that was born with 2 left hands. That's all I got.
I would read
Wow, that's awesome.
I've always wanted to do a little mini series about called Bob the Centaur, and it's about a centaur that has to get an apartment with like people in New York, and he's trying to find a job.
Right.
But every time he goes on a job interview, he can't wear pants. So like he gets kicked out of places and stuff, and just kind of how hard it would be for a centaur to live in.
Sir, we
modern-day
have
New
a
York.
dress code here. I'm
Yeah.
a centaur.
You're on the 18th
I'm like,
floor. I
They
can't fit
literally don't make. I can't even get in the elevator. You know. So
I love those old memes. If you ever saw them, if a horse could wear pants, would he wear them like this or like this? And it
Yeah,
showed
it
like
shows
all
the
the weird
different
ways that a
diagrams.
horse could
Yeah,
wear
just
pants.
in the front. Like,
Yeah, just in the front.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
Awesome.
phenomenal.
everything in the
man.
back still hanging out. That's
Yeah, just the 2 front.
But yeah, what's interesting about the Fallout shelter idea you have is I love that somebody had said that we have a lot of like Fallout like IP out there, and it all resembles the video game Fallout. So the only thing I would say to you is,
Oh, it doesn't resemble the game.
yeah, take it in whatever direction you want to. Just don't make it look like the same shit, because I feel like
No, it's not.
we get,
Yeah.
but you know what I'm saying? Like, we get a lot of that idea that just ends up looking like the game, and they're like, oh, it's a wasteland. Oh, there's creatures. You know, it's that kind of
Yeah.
monotony over and over again. But I love that idea. I also love Walt Flanagan said that on Comic Book Men once, where he was like, you know, I think if we had a zombie apocalypse, that after a couple of weeks, everybody would just go back to work, and we'd all just like learn to live with it.
It's so funny that you mentioned that because I'm a huge fan of Comic Book Man and
Right.
Kevin Smith.
Yeah, me too.
And so I actually put little Easter eggs to Kevin Smith and Comic Book Man and stuff in that book.
Right.
And in the first 5 pages, there's actually one of the zombies has a Flanagan jersey on.
Really?
And at the coffee shop, they've got a big banner that says "I assure you we're open," you know, and things like
That's
that.
awesome.
And actually,
Yeah.
2 of the zombies in the background, most people probably wouldn't notice this, but it's Jay and Silent Bob.
Nice.
So
I
Are you even
actually.
supposed to be here today?
I'm not even supposed to be here today.
I'm not even supposed to be here today. When I used to work at a gas station, when I was a clerk, I am a clerk still, but
Yeah.
you know, when I was a gas station clerk, I worked the night shift. I worked overnight, and I used to, because no manager was ever around, I would hang up a sign that said, "If you plan on shoplifting, please inform us." Just like from Clerks, and I just thought it was always good.
One of the most brilliant movies I've ever seen. I still love it to this day.
So we have a lot of projects that we're working on now. Matt and me tend to write a lot of things together and have a lot of fun with that. And one of those projects is I've always wanted to write a movie, and I just like writing in general, you know. And comic books has always been something I've wanted to do, but I was like, all right, screenplay seems easier than a comic book somehow. Maybe I just enjoy it more or whatnot, but it's my Clerks. And when I started getting into it and really started outlining it and making this movie, I was like, man, like, I don't want to be a ripoff of Kevin Smith at all. Like, he's my hero for sure. I mean, the dude truly is like my hero, but I've had, like, these are my experiences, and I really want them to shine through just like he did for Clerks. And I got to tell you, it's been one of the great pleasures of my life getting to put this stuff down, and I'll read it over. And when you can write and make it honest and make it, you know, I think there has to be some talent. You know, you have to be able to write authentically, but to then go back and read it and make yourself chuckle and laugh and be like, man, I think people will love. It's just such a pleasure. And I share that with you in that writer space of writing these books and writing our stories. I just had him read the outline of a book that I'm writing now, a comic book that we're trying to put together. Me and Tony from Mythical Mountain are doing a project together, and Apparently, I had a lot of spelling mistakes because I didn't proofread it, and he kept turning over like, "I'm just gonna edit this for you." And,
From what I could understand, the story seemed good.
yeah,
I'm kidding. It was great. It was great.
And it's one of those things where, guys out there, people listening to the show, never shortchange yourself. Not everybody is meant to be a writer. Not everybody's meant to be a director. Not everyone's meant to be an artist. Find your thing, though, man. There's nothing you can't work on. There's nothing you can't be better at. There's nothing you can't do. If it makes you happy and it's what you want to do, seek that out. Whether it's seeking education on it, whether it's just sitting down and doing it. One of the greatest parts about being a writer is I take a lot of online classes just because I love to hear perspectives of different people and how they became successful. But I started because I just sat down on my laptop and started typing. I was like, I want to put something out. And you never know until you start doing it.
I honestly didn't think I was ever going to be a writer. I thought I was a comic book artist.
Right.
And
you told me that at the con, too,
I had the idea for the story, and some people encouraged me to do the first issue, and I did.
Right.
Not expecting much of a response, but I got a good response from it. People liked how I paced it and all that kind of stuff, and it felt really good. And so, like, the last 4 weeks, actually, we had 2 weeks apart, we had 2 conventions, both of which I think that you were at.
I was about to say, you and me were both at the...
Yeah,
both of them.
And I sold out of books both weekends, which was kind of insane for me, because a lot of people weren't selling very much at these things, but I managed to somehow sell out both weekends. And
I'll tell you, that's a bigger surprise at the little con at the mall that we were at. That was called Mall of Heroes at the Regency Square Mall in Jacksonville, Florida. And the turnout was such a surprise.
Yeah.
And the fact that you sold out.
I killed it there.
Yeah, that was such an amazing thing. We had a good day there too. I mean, it was
Yeah.
crazy.
But selling out was cool, and making money was definitely cool, because that's something that artists and writers don't do a lot of sometimes. But the coolest aspect for me was at this last convention. It was so close to the other one. People came back in, and they said, "Oh, I remember. I read your books. I just got them 2 weeks ago." And then people would buy like on a Friday or Saturday, and I had people coming back to my table after they had that evening in their hotel had
Right.
read the comics and just told me about, like, "Oh, I love this part," or "I love that," and this character, when's the next one coming out? I can't wait to find out
Right.
what happens. I got more joy out of people getting enjoyment than I did kind of monetizing the work, because
Sure.
it just made me happy that people are getting so much joy out of something I'm having so much joy telling them. Like this, I love telling the story.
I was gonna say that's got to be like the best part, and as we are all also musicians,
Yeah.
that was like playing in bands and stuff. That used to always be my favorite part. Is like when people would come to see you and your group play, and like either they sing the words back, or
So-
they'd say how much.
Being an artist in
that-
any capacity, whether it's music or whether it's writing or art or anything, it comes down to being an egotist, and not necessarily in a bad way, but we all thirst for that praise, for that this is amazing, for somebody saying this affected me in a way, and
I think it's more that urge to connect, almost, if that sounds.
Oh, for sure.
If that doesn't sound too.
I think
cheesy,
it is. I
but-
think though, being able to hear somebody say, "I loved this," and not only did I love this, but it caused this feeling.
Yeah.
That's to evoke emotion is one of the greatest joys that you could ever experience, and I think that that's such a neat thing when somebody reads something you wrote, or somebody sees a piece that you've done, or hears your music and feels something over it, and it's incredible. And that's why I do it, honestly, because and again, there is that part of you that just loves every time you get that dopamine hit of somebody even just saying it, like, "Man, this was awesome." That's fucking crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, we don't all speak the same language, but we all feel the same emotions.
Yeah.
And so no matter what your background or who you are or where you're at, no matter what side of an aisle you vote on, it doesn't matter. We all have emotions. We share emotions. And it's something beautiful about art that can do that.
100%. But on that note, kids, we are running out of time. Luke has been so gracious as to be on our show, and we know that he has to get going here soon, and we've had such a good time. Again, I just want to thank everybody. Luke, I want to thank you so much, buddy, for being on the show. It was a
Hey,
true
thanks for having me.
pleasure.
Yes, thank you again.
And Matt, as always, thank you for being my co-host. Matt, you got anything to add?
No, I
Luke,
really
do you want to
enjoyed
plug
the show.
any social media or
I
anything?
do. I want people to know where they can get the books. A couple things going on right now. If you go to www.starcrosscomics.com, you can order the books right there. I've also got some special giveaway, some special perks and stuff on an Indiegogo that I'm doing right now. So if you look up Hybrids 4 on Indiegogo, you can do that. And then follow me on Twitter, and that is at Luke Stone Studio without the S, but it'll say the S.
Luke Stone Studio, for sure.
Yeah.
Very cool.
All right, and on that note, as always, Facebook.com/the Bat in the Hat podcast, or Facebook.com/Bat Hat Official, and Twitter @Bat Hat Official. Follow us, rate us, like us, and make sure you pick up Luke's books, man, because they really are something special. I have been the Phantasm herself, Andrea Bowman. Oh, Andrea Beaumont. Why did I say Bowman?
You don't
Andrea
even know who you
Beaumont.
are.
I don't even know
And
my
I
own
have-
name.
And
He's having an identity crisis right here.
And I have been Mark, just Mark. And,
Thank you so much for listening. Good night, Matt's mom.